Welcome to the Unique Mums podcast. My name's Anna, and I'm a wife, mum, author, blogger, and Jesus follower, bringing you biblical truth, devotions, and encouragement so you can find joy, purpose, and hope as you navigate through motherhood, one cold cup of coffee at a time. You can find the episode show notes, free devotions, and a lot more information at uniquemums.co.uk. Hello, Mum. Welcome back to the Unique Mums podcast. It's great to be back. We're doing a series at the moment called Rule of Life, and this episode today is about 10 ideas for simple homemaking because we are doing this area of the rule of life, which is living more simply, living more like Jesus, slowing down, engaging more with the present, being less hurried, being less stressed. And so, for us as mums, homemaking is a big part of our lives, and there are different things that we can do to make things more simple for us, more simple for our families, and to slow down and to really enjoy what we're doing and not be in a constant thing of hustle and stress and generally just doing too much. So, being simple and choosing a simpler homemaking lifestyle is really going to help us with this area of slowing down, of embracing the moment. Okay, so here are some quick 10 ideas. These are actually more like principles because the particulars of how we do these things are going to vary a lot, but they're just 10 general ideas. And the first idea here for simple homemaking is adopting a cleaning routine that works for you. And now I say this cleaning routine that works for you because for me, I really enjoy cleaning a little bit each day, and that's the TOMM Organized Mum Method. That's what I use. So the Organized Mum Method, it's abbreviated as TOMM. And I'll link to that particular cleaning routine below because I have a blog post about it. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes so that you can look at that after if you want to. But there are many options, and I can put links for other cleaning routines as well just to help you. But I think it's really helpful to have some kind of system. It doesn't have to be a very rigid system. It could be just like some general, like 3 things to do in one day kind of thing, or 3 things to clean in one day. I just think for a lot of us, it helps to have a system. But yeah, even with that, I suppose there are people who might actually prefer not having one. But I know from myself and other mums that I talk to, generally they prefer having a kind of system just to help them to feel organized with it, keep on top of it, but also not do too much because it's also easy to sometimes to do too much as well, like cleaning things over and over again and then forgetting other parts of the house or whatever. So, yeah, there is that as well. Okay, so number 2, use machines to your benefits. When I talk about machines, I mean appliances and this kind of thing. And the reason I say this to your benefit is because sometimes we can fall into 2 camps, and one can be that we're using everything and something, and that can actually complicate our lives because with so many different appliances and things, there's a lot of maintenance involved in cleaning the actual appliances. And sometimes, with having so many different things, we end up maybe creating more work for ourselves. But on the other hand, if we don't use any appliances, that also makes quite a bit of work. So, like if you think back to women in the 50s or earlier than that, maybe when they had to wash more clothes by hand, and then that was quite time consuming as well. So, I would just say that try to make sure that when you're using your appliances, you're not creating extra work for yourself and you're doing what's necessary, like maybe the dishes or the laundry, but trying not to be overdoing, like in terms of appliances to a point where maybe there's a lot of maintenance involved or it's taking up a lot of your time where you could be spending time doing something else, like in this area, for example, with cooking, maybe if you have all these fancy gadgets and you're ending up doing maybe very gourmet meals, which is fine. But if you like feel like God maybe is speaking you to maybe reduce the amount of time cooking, so still enjoy it, still do it, but maybe just reduce that in order to have time to do something else. It could be useful to maybe just reduce the use of some things, like minimalize a little bit. And also, it's to do with the cleaning side of things. So, when we have a very cluttered kitchen full of different appliances on the countertops, that can also make our kitchens feel very cluttered. And then we have more cleaning involved and more tidying up to do every time. So, there's all that side of things as well. Now, this is very particular, it depends on the situation. It's not like a specific kind of guideline, it's just a general idea. And just to talk a little bit about myself, at the moment, I don't have a dryer for my clothes, so I actually hang clothes out to dry, which takes longer than if I did have a dryer. But I guess I'm also quite careful with the whole laundry routine anyway. And it means that I do a specific laundry routine, which also helps for the laundry not to become overwhelming. And so, for example, I don't have the dryer and I don't have a dishwasher at the moment. And that's because our dishwasher broke a while ago and we've just been washing things by hand. And that's been a more simple way to live, I suppose, a simpler way to live. But also, it can be time consuming. So, what that's done is that we've got more of the family involved in that, and that's actually been a good thing. So, I think there are times when having the simpler way, it seems like it might be more time consuming, but in some ways it can actually help us to slow down and it can help us to get more people from the family involved. So that's another side of things as well. Okay, so the third idea that I have here for a more simple homemaking lifestyle is to make simple and fast meals during the week. Now, this doesn't mean the kind of fast food that everything's already prepared and you just put it in the oven. I don't mean that. I actually think it is good for us to try and cook more from scratch. Now, obviously, I don't mean that we need to make our own bread or that we have to make our own pasta, but it is good to make more things, maybe with fresh ingredients and more things from scratch, just from a health point of view. And I think also for us to feel like we know a bit better what we're putting in our foods. But when we make simple and fast meals, they don't have to be super complicated things when we're using these fresh ingredients. So we can, for example, buy dry pasta and make a simple sauce and have some saute vegetables, and that's quite a healthy dish. Or we can have roast chicken and potatoes, and that doesn't actually have to take a long time because a lot of it is actually the oven that's doing the work. So we might do a bit of prep. It might just take like 15 minutes to prep, and then it's in the oven for an hour. So if we're at home anyway, that's another option. So just choosing things that don't take too long to prepare, but trying to have fresh ingredients or healthy, as much as we can, healthy ingredients that are going to help us to, yes, to feel like we're on top of the nutritional side, that we're being good stewards of that, but at the same time, we're not spending hours in the kitchen. And then number four, choose the right laundry routine. So, in terms of laundry routines, there are different ones out there. Some people really like doing one laundry day a week, which for me, I must confess, does not work at all because I don't have a dryer, as I said before. And yeah, I just find that super overwhelming. If I had to do a whole, I don't know, 7 loads of laundry for in one day, I would just find that too hard. But yes, this depends on the person. It depends if you have a dryer or if you have a lot of space to hang things, and it depends on the person's personality as well. So that could be an option for some people. For other people, like for me, I prefer the one laundry a day method. So here it's about doing one load a day, and I do this actually nearly every day. So I do it Monday to Friday. I do one load a day. And then on Saturdays, because that's when we celebrate our Sabbath, I don't do any. And then Sundays, I generally do two. Now, the day that I do two, it could be on a Sunday or it could be on a Monday. So that can also vary a bit. So that also depends. But generally, I'll do one a day from Monday to Friday, two on a Sunday to make up for the Saturday. And that works really well for me because I feel like I'm on top of things, but it's not overwhelming. And I just get into that routine of every day having a load of laundry to do. And then there's not too much to tidy after. So that's really good as well. Okay, so number 5, choose simple decorations instead of revamping your house every season. So here the focus is on simple, choosing simple candles, simple cushion covers and throws. And then if we do want to change these little things, we can obviously, but not feeling that kind of pressure of maybe like the perfect homemaker who's always changing her decorations around her house. And yes, so just choosing simple things that are easy to switch around or to just put them in different rooms if you want to, or just simple details rather than feeling like a pressure to change everything about a room every season or something like this. Okay, so number 6 is own less stuff, clean less stuff. So this is about decluttering, it's about owning less stuff, buying less stuff. And yeah, when we have things that we've outgrown that we don't use anymore, to make things more simple, to make our homemaking more simple, it's often helpful if we just go through what we have and then we donate, we throw away what doesn't work anymore, or we recycle things. So yes, the less we own, the less we have to clean, the less we have to manage, and this makes our homemaking more simple as well. Then number 7 is don't batch cook if you don't have the time. Meal plan with flexibility. So here I'm saying don't batch cook if you don't have the time, because I think this is an area that sometimes is recommended. I'm sure it does save some time if you do have, like, for example, a whole day just to do batch cooking, and if that's something that you enjoy, I think it can be good. But again, it can be something a bit overwhelming, I think, if we just take a whole day just to cook a loads of meals. I think it can be overwhelming. And you do need like a whole day to do that. So I think this can work in some situations, but I think if you don't have the time to take like a whole day to batch cook thousands of meals, it could be useful instead just to maybe cook a few things in advance, or make a double portion of something. Like, for example, on a Monday, you could make enough mince for 2 days, and then one day you could have that mince with some rice, like a chili con carne thing, and then on the Tuesday, you could have that mince with a pasta to make a bolognese, pasta bolognese or spaghetti bolognese. So, yeah, this is something that I think can be useful, the batch cooking, if it's in smaller quantities. But I think if we don't have time to do loads at one go, I think we shouldn't feel that pressure either. So, meal planning, I think, is good as well, having an idea of what things to buy in advance. But I think it's also useful when we have a certain flexibility where we swap the days around if we need to, or we buy something last minute, or we throw something together. I think that can also be a simple way to do it. I think sometimes we can overcomplicate, for example, even with meal planning, like meal planning to the smallest detail. And then it can be easier after, once the meal plan is made, but you need an amount of time to actually meal plan in a lot of detail. So yeah, this also maybe depends on the person, but the thing that works best for me, the thing that's simpler, I would say, is to meal plan. I kind of do a meal plan in my head when I'm buying my ingredients, so I already kind of know what to buy, but then I'm very flexible about the days where I do what. And I think that's what works best for me. It's the simplest way to do it. And I can throw things together as well quite easily, because I have like my storeroom staples. So my beans and the tomato sauce and the pasta, the kind of things that I always have, and that I can just make something quickly if I need to as well. And that leads me to number 9, which is do online shopping with a list. And I recommend online shopping for a simpler lifestyle as a homemaker, because I think online shopping really helps us not to impulse buy things so much and to spend less money. And when we have this kind of list, whether it's written down, whether it's in our head, or things that we already know that we keep buying, and this is the good thing with online shopping as well, that it has a history system where it saved our past purchases, so we can easily buy things over and over again. So this is one of the advantages of online shopping. I think it's a lot easier for us to stick to our lists, we can even meal plan just before we do the online shopping, and kind of do it as we're doing it even, and that's really useful as well, and it helps us to spend less money and actually to spend less time as well, because we're not walking around the shops or we're not having to drive somewhere and pack. Now I do my weekly shop is an online shop, so I use a specific shop for that. But then I also go out to get bits and bobs, but I do this in a way so that I'm not spending extra time. So when I go into town anyway, and I go there to work at the library, then I'll go buy a shop if I need to buy some last minute things like for the weekend or something like that. Okay, so now with number 9, get your kids to do chores with you. So do life with them. Now, of course, you might have very young children and this doesn't work, but if you have children from even the age of 4 or 5, they can already do a few simple things. Now, I know that sometimes when kids do things, they don't do them properly and all that, but I think it is good for us to spend a few minutes kind of teaching them the main things, and also maybe lowering our expectations that things are going to be perfect. And so, yeah, we can get them to start doing things, even if they don't do them very well, even if we have to do some of it for them or with them or explain things to them. It just gets us into this rhythm of family chores, of having rotas, of taking in turns, and them contributing to the community. So yeah, this is a great way of creating more of a simple homemaking lifestyle. And then number 10, this one maybe will surprise you a little bit, but in terms of having a simpler homemaking lifestyle, I would say invite Jesus into your homemaking life and ask Him to slow you down and to show you how to simplify. Now, this is really important and it's actually the basis of all this. I've given you several ideas. Some of these ideas may work for you, others may not. But the main thing that I do want to emphasize is this, that we really need to be asking God to help us through His Spirit and just to direct us in how we can have a simple homemaking lifestyle. So, a way that we do homemaking that's simple, that's slow, that's not stressful, that's life giving as well. And the only way that we're really going to be able to do this is if we invite God into our lives, into our homemaking, and just ask Him to direct us, to show us the right way, how we can simplify, how we can slow down when it's the right time to actually do something a bit more complicated. And there are times for that, like special occasions, like even getting ready for the Sabbath, maybe if you do the Sabbath rest like I do, or an event or something. There are times for that, but how we can simplify in the day to day, how we can have it as something that we enjoy more, that's less stressful, and how we can get the family on board with the homemaking. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope these 10 ideas really helped you and blessed you, and I hope that you managed to implement them or that they were useful to you and to your current season in life. And yes, next week I'm going to be back with a new episode in the Rule of Life series. And this time we're going to be looking at working in surrender to God's will. So this is going to be really, really good as well. So speak to you next time.